Welcome to MyGP Cloud. We're on to financial reporting. We're looking at Management Reporter. Management Reporter is a tool that you'll use to run your financial reports, your balance sheet, your income statement. And we've created a few different reports that come with your system. And if you're using the same chart of accounts that you initially had with your MyGP Cloud system, these reports will work really nicely for you. If you've added to the chart of accounts, you may need to adjust these reports. And if you started from scratch and put your own set of chart of accounts in, you'll probably have to start from scratch and create your own financial reports. We're going to go through a little bit of how to do that, how to adjust and how to create your own financial reports. So I'm looking here under the report definitions, and these are the different reports that we've developed for you. And I'm looking at balance sheet summary. And in the balance sheet summary, the way that these reports work is they're made up of building blocks, and this comes with a row, column, and tree format. So as you're developing these reports, you'll create a row format, and you can mix and match that with any number of columns that you'd like. So let's look at the row format balance sheet summary. So as we look at this row format, you'll see a bunch of different rows that are listed in here. We have current assets, property, plant, and equipment, and these are all summarized within each different category. Now let's say I wanted to add a row. If I just right click on my button, choose insert row, that'll add a space there and it adds it to the top. If I double click on the link to financials dimension, this will show me my different segments. And if I double click here and choose my individual arrange, you can see that I could come in and add any number of columns here. And I'm just going to add the 1230. And if I click OK, you'll see that that is added to this current assets. If I wanted to take this out of here, I can highlight that, right click, and choose delete. Now to add a total, I can come in here and add a total format code. I double click on that and you can see all the different options that you can choose. But here, this 310 to 490, this represents the row code 310, adding it down to 490. So anything between those, that's what's going to be added to this row. If I want to summarize any of these areas together, if I look at the assets, here's row 520, and down here the total assets is 520, 880 is right here, adding the total property, plant, and equipment to that, and 1135 I'm adding this row to that. So this totals all of the things in my asset section. To give you the most flexibility with doing these reports, recommend using the main account number. And you look here, this 1100 for the cash area, that would be my main cash account. So you can have any number of different divisions or locations added to that, but anything that's in this 1100 main account is going to be added to the cash. And when I double click on this cash, I'm going to click on here and you'll see that this is adding the 1100 account all the way up to the 1199 account. If I wanted to separate those out, I'm going to pull over my balance sheet detail, and you'll see I've added these individually, 1100, 1110, 1120, whereas on the summary report we added the 1100 to the 1199. This is listed out in detail. Going back to my balance sheet summary, and as I go down here to the bottom, just wanted to show you how to add usually the net profit together. That would be under the segment 1 here for the net profit. And usually we'll add the 4,000 account all the way up to the 999. So that should include all my revenue and expenses accounts in one row, and that will be where I add my net profit to my total equity. I'm going to go back to my report definition, and we're going to go and look at the column that's associated with this. And you'll see that this column has a description listed here, as well as one column that has actual numbers. This is typical for a balance sheet report. I'm going to pull up this 12-month current. And for a profit and loss report, this is what you would see with the 12-month current. I've listed out here actual numbers with a base year, so whatever year I list, and this will give me period number 1, and it will go all the way up to period 12. One other thing to note in the column is when you click on actual, if you double click on it, if you have a budget in your GP system, this is where you would add the budget here. So you could either have actual or budget numbers, and this is where you'll make that change. I'm just going to go back to the report definitions here, and I want to show you the power in what Management Reporter can do. I'm going to pull up an income statement report. And if you see P&L detail, if I click on the next one, next report, detail roll and quarter, it uses the exact same row, but I can add a different column to that. So you can have, with one row, you can create many different reports. And as you're getting used to your management reporting tool, I would try to do that. I'd keep one row, add a bunch of different columns, and see what different reporting you can do. I'm going to show you the column on this rolling quarter, just so you can see how this could be put together. You have your base period, -2, -1, and your base period here. So this will give you a rolling quarter, no matter what the dates you put in. And then here I've used the calculation column type, and I've added columns B, C, and D together. If we come back to this report, the base period is period 7, and the base year is 14. So all your reports will be looking after these base periods and base year. So looking at the headers and footers, you can add images, you can change the way that your header and footer looks. A few other settings that often people will look at: display blanks for 0 amounts and display rows with no amounts. You can uncheck that, and you can usually display blanks for 0 amounts. So these are just some of the settings that you can get with the Management Reporter tool. Well, there you have it. We've gone through the financial reporting tool. Hopefully going through and looking at your rows and columns and how to add them together gives you an idea of how these reports are generated. Where the real fun comes for an accountant is coming in and actually modifying and using this tool to get some really creative reports.